So, how do you think Penn State is handling the coronavirus?
I think that on paper it's a good plan, but the problem that we're seeing is that there's no teeth behind it. I mean, there's parties on campus pretty much every night, and then the worst thing that happens is campus security comes and breaks it up, and like there's no backlash.
They're making sure kids are keeping their masks on pretty much at all times, like mask up or pack up. They have a lot of places closed down to like prevent gatherings.
I mean, I think they've taken all the precautions they really can. They're requiring masks on campus and inside all buildings. I mean, they're doing random testing, so anyone who does end up positive is quarantined, and anyone they've been in contact with is told, and then they usually quarantine for a little while.
Just very strict on the mask, social distancing, which is kind of weird. Like, they got mad because like we weren't social distancing at like those parties at Easter or whatever. But then they have school sanctioned like movies, which like everyone's not social distancing then, even though they say they are. Like, I walk by and it's just like a pit of people just sitting there watching a movie.
I feel like they're not handling it very consistently. Like especially with seating, they try to like separate us when we can't like eat with our friends, but yet they don't really stop when we're in like big groups outside, or if we eat in big groups outside. And then downtown there's not really any rules, so I feel like it's just not consistent.
So somebody said they were doing random testing on you guys. How often is that?
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be 700 people a day, I heard, but I know it's not that at all.
I mean, I think they're handling pretty good with like the masks and stuff.
Yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
What other measures are they doing?
They'll like no people from other dorms, like 4 people to a room with masks. Yeah.
Limiting the number of people.
Yeah.
I think they're handling it the best way they can. I think it's going to take not only them, but the students' compliance to make a difference in the case spread.
So what are they doing right now?
They're definitely limiting like the dining halls. Like, they're only serving food in one area, so everyone's going to the same area every time, and other areas are off limits. Like, picking up packages is different. You definitely have to exercise with the mask on. And for the most part, the RAs have been pretty helpful, keeping everyone distant.
Would there be any disciplinary measures if you were to have a party?
I would assume so, yes.
Would that include being expelled?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I believe that some of the kids have not been taking the virus as serious as it should be taken, but I think that Penn State is trying their best to respond to all the students about the seriousness of the situation and to give us all a chance to be able to stay on campus. So I agree with what they're doing, but I also think that the measures that should be taken maybe should be a little more serious because cases are rising.
Wait, I don't want to be on camera.
I think Penn State's doing actually an excellent job of answering the response to the coronavirus with the quarantine dorms. So actually I'm going to see my friend now who's going to the quarantine dorms. He was in contact with somebody who tested positive, so they're sending him to the quarantine dorms.
So what happens when you get into the quarantine dorms? How long does that last, and what
It could last 5 to 14 days. I guess it depends on if you're showing symptoms. So I guess if you're showing symptoms, they keep you longer, and if you test negative after you go in there, they'll let you out.
I think Penn State is doing their best efforts in trying to contain it. I think it's up to the students now to, follow rules and keep like social distancing and such intact. I feel like the university is doing all that they can. I just wish the students would do better now.
They're really enforcing the mask rule, except for outside. They're allowing you to be distant from people, allowing you to not have masks, but the whole
motto is mask up or pack up.
Pack up.
Pack up. Pack up.
Definitely we're taking precautions. We're enforcing the rules really well. Like if there's anything like what happened in East with the big party that got shut down pretty quickly, we're handling how the kids are interacting with each other really well. And we're trying to limit how we contact people, which is really good. Like President Eric Barron, whenever something big really happens or any new introduction to the the online portal where they introduce how many cases are, he addresses it and he figures out why, and he tries to explain to us how we can limit it and how we can further better ourselves. But honestly, I think we're doing pretty well.
I personally think really well. I'm actually working for the public ambassadors, so I kind of walk around campus and help people hand out masks and the such.
So aside from that, what are they doing?
Well, I think what they've done with the dining halls is pretty good with trying to keep it like blocked off and everything. And you know, I just think personally, I'm a big fan for the public ambassador thing and everything that we do. We have whole hub sessions. We're all zoned off, and
in my opinion, I think they're handling it pretty well. The restrictions are pretty good on wearing masks, and I've seen a lot of students wearing masks, and I think we're all just doing our best. We all want to stay, so we're gonna try everything we can do to limit it.
I mean, I think they're putting up all like the necessary procedures and everything, but I think at a school like this, it's going to be hard to like completely prevent large gatherings and all that. Like,
have there been people who have been suspended because of having parties? What's the rule on that?
I haven't heard of anyone getting suspended, but I know that you can get like referrals just for having a mask down at any point. Like
inside or outside?
Inside and outside, I think. Like within dorms, and you're not supposed to bring anyone into your dorm.
I think Penn State's handling it pretty well. They have like the quarantining buildings, so if you were tested positive or if you've been in contact with someone who has COVID, then you're being isolated here or you can be sent home. So I think that's good. They're keeping it contained. Masks are definitely like big thing. Mask up or pack up. Yeah, so anywhere you're on campus, you have to be wearing a mask.
Okay, I'll remember that.
If you're actively eating or drinking, you can take it off. But yeah, anytime you're on campus in any buildings, unless you're in your own room.
I'd say that it's pretty good, but I've noticed that there's not like when the police like I've noticed like up at East sometimes there would be large groups of kids like kind of hang around and they'll just be watching them and they won't do much.
I think for like the study areas, they're doing good. I see people walking around telling people to put up their masks and stuff, which is I think good. So everyone's wearing masks. All of my professors that I do have in-person classes with are really good about keeping us socially distanced, having us hand sanitize, wear face shields, masks, gloves, and everything. So I think they're doing good. I just think it's hard to control what people are doing, seeing friends and partying and everything. No one's allowed to have other people in their dorms, and if they are caught with a party, they do get suspended. And if they get enough like warnings, like suspensions, they do get kicked off the campus.
So what does mask up, pack up mean?
It means that you need to wear your mask, you need to social distance, you need to like participate in all of the guidelines the community has given out to keep everyone safe, or you need to like leave. And they have been enforcing that and sending people home.
Oh, they have been sending people home?
Yes.
Do you know of anybody who's been sent home?
Not like personally I know them, but I've heard of some freshmen who did get sent home after like they've been caught like partying and not social distancing and stuff like that.
If a vaccine were to be required for you to go to classes, for you to continue to be a student, would you take the vaccine?
I would. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't want to get the vaccine.
So if there were a vaccine to be introduced by Thanksgiving, like some say there might be, would you be willing to take a vaccine?
I mean, as long as it's gone through all the tests and everything that all vaccines go through, I'd be fine with taking one if I have to take one to stay on campus.
I think it depends. I mean, yes, but it depends on how much testing was done on humans beforehand, because I'm a little nervous just like going in willingly getting a vaccine if it hasn't like had sufficient testing.
Yeah, because it takes 7 years on average to develop a vaccine. And you know, there are a lot of risks, some of which you don't hear about. Exactly. When Bill Gates had a vaccine regimen in Africa, there were hundreds of thousands of people who were sterilized. So is that something you're concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks it's like somewhat political too, because it's like utilizes a political agenda for, you know, for someone to get reelected or someone to not get elected.
It just depends on the effects of it. Like, I know there's like a vaccine in like Russia, but like it gives you like a flu or something.
I'd be okay with that if they let us have a normal college experience.
So it's like, I mean, that would be a step to get us towards normalcy, right?
Yeah.
And do the potential side effects bother you?
Honestly, I haven't dug into it that much. I would have to read it first.
I haven't gotten the flu shot recently, but for coronavirus, I would definitely take the vaccine.
Absolutely.
Probably.
Are you worried about possible side effects?
Yeah, I'd be possibly worried, but I think it's better than the alternative, which is like everybody getting corona.
Because the reason I ask is, you know, in Africa, when Bill Gates was doing vaccine trials down there were hundreds of thousands of people who were sterilized as a result. Mm-hmm. Would you worry about such a side effect?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a worry, but as long as it's like tested and they make sure that it's safe for everybody, then yeah, I'd be willing to take it.
Yeah, I think so.
Even though there might be side effects?
Yeah, I think so.
Personally, I would prefer to wait a couple months just to see how the first few trials of like it being produced to the public go.
I personally won't, because I personally do not feel like vaccine can safely be produced within a short amount of time, like 6 months. I feel like we don't know the exact reasons, or we don't know the exact potential risk that a vaccine can have. I feel like study time needs to be for a lot longer. Just like every other vaccine, no vaccine has been produced within a year, so how would we be able to do that now and with a safe result?
Absolutely, yeah, I would.
Even with the potential side effects that exist?
Well, I mean, it doesn't exist yet, so we don't know what the side effects were, but it would probably be a risk I'd be willing to take, yeah, to be able to stay here.
Yes, I think I would. Just for precautionary measures, I think I do a lot better in the classroom, and I think being online has kind of been detrimental to my learning, but if there was something offered that could help me and like the student body, I think I would definitely be open to it.
Yes, I would be willing to take such vaccine.
Yeah, definitely.
There's been an uptick in suicide, alcoholism, depression, that kind of stuff. Do you think the response to the coronavirus has been worse than the coronavirus itself?
It's a good question. I know for sure like quarantine has done like taken a toll on a lot of people like mentally, and I think that's like a big part of it, but I don't know if I would go that far to say that it's worse than the actual virus.
Have you known people in your life who are maybe a little bit more depressed, maybe a little bit more anxious, drinking more, that kind of stuff?
Yes, for sure. Definitely like mentally, yes.
I think for certain people it can be. It does depend on the person. Especially if you are more social, it can be very, very difficult to force yourself to socially distance, to stay in lockdown, to be in your quarantine if you are required to be. So I do believe that it varies on the person, that it's more difficult for others than it is for those who maybe are like happier being more reserved and are way more dedicated to keeping the community healthy rather than putting their social life first.
I mean, that's definitely a question for statistics. I think it definitely makes sense that so many people could have problems with all the mental health issues due to, you know, that's kind of quarantine. That's what you go through, and I know it took a toll on everyone, but I think it definitely helped bring numbers down in the beginning. I mean, it's kind of subjective to see how long the coronavirus went and the quarantine went, but you know, I think we did the best that we could.
Yeah, that's just side effects of the lockdown, but I think it would be a lot worse if we just didn't do anything and let the pandemic run wild.
So if, you know, it's better to just keep doing what we're doing, regardless if there are more people drinking, more people using drugs, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no like concrete way to track that increase back to anything that's going on, obviously.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Have you known people in your life who have been maybe more depressed, more anxious, drinking a little bit more?
I think, you know, having the quarantine takes its toll on everyone, but at the end of the day, that's better than a bunch of people getting sick, I think.
I think that, I mean, this could have been handled in a different way in the U.S., and I think that it's seen in like other countries that they've kind of gotten over like those side effects faster because there's a different response to it in different countries. So yeah,
it's really affecting people in a way that isn't helpful to mental health and all that, which is then worsening the flow of society right now.
Have you seen people in your own life be more depressed, be more anxious, drink more?
Not personally, but I do know that like people are definitely shut into their houses and that's causing a lot of stress, so they're starting to lean more on things that they wouldn't, like alcohol or anything like that. Not any of my friends, but people around me.
I have noticed a couple of my friends be way more anxious than they normally are, for good reason of course, because they are immunocompromised and they don't want to hurt their families if they happen to get infected. So, but I haven't noticed any drinking problems.
For sure, my roommate, she actually has diagnosed depression and anxiety, and she's been a lot worse. I'm not diagnosed or anything, but I actually did recently start therapy because I've been very anxious about the whole thing, and I think that has increased in everybody, no matter like what their mental state was at that point.
So you think it's affected everybody on a certain level?
I think it's affected somewhere, yeah, in a certain level. Some maybe definitely like worse than others, but I think everyone has been affected.
What are the most important issues for you in the upcoming election?
Just making sure that we change what's going on, because obviously it's not been going well. I don't think we're in a good state right now, that's my opinion. And yeah.
Would social justice be one of the most important issues?
Yes. Just inclusivity, I don't know if that's a word, but like, I'm a supporter of Black Lives Matter. I think that all lives do matter, but not until Black Lives Matter. I think that's really important, and I think it's something that we need to focus on right now, especially right now, after all the shootings, all the incidents that's happened. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know either.
Do you say you're liberal or conservative?
Liberal. I would say I'm in the middle, more towards liberal, but it just depends on the issue. I don't really care about parties and stuff. Yeah.
So you're definitely not voting for Trump?
No.
I don't like to speak politically a lot because I have wavering responses. Like, I want everybody to be happy, but I know that's way more difficult than it is. I mean, economically, I know I stand further to the right, but socially I stand further to the left, so I can't speak and stand my ground on something because it does vary.
I haven't been too educated about it. I definitely have to do a little bit more research before I could answer any of those questions.
I'd say social justice, the environment, and also getting through this pandemic.
So you mentioned social justice first. What exactly needs to be done about social justice?
Well, I think we need to be able to hold cops accountable when they mess up and murder people because of their race. I think it's kind of awful that there are cops who can just walk into people's houses who don't have a warrant or anything and get shot and then just walk away and keep their jobs.
Good way. I mean, obviously no one's going to say that Black lives don't matter. That's what no one is saying.
Well, there's so much. I think climate change has been a huge thing. I think also how the administration has handled the coronavirus, I think there's a lot that could, change in that aspect, and I want to see change with this whole pandemic. There's a list of things that I think that I want to see change. I think we need to take a step towards, less discrimination. I think police brutality has become so evident. I mean, it's been evident, just it's becoming more lively on social media. I think that's good. I think it's getting the voice, I don't know how to word this, but it's getting people like our generation more involved in the movement to help stop police brutality and just seeing a lot of things that we didn't before. So I think that's also something that needs to, change.
Would you lean more toward being a communist or toward a Trump supporter?
I'm in no terms a Trump supporter. I don't agree with what he is, what he stands for. I don't know if I would consider myself a communist. I think I'm probably, I wouldn't know where I put myself, so.
I don't really pay attention to that much stuff. I guess with everything going on right now, I think a lot of the main issues right now is obviously with the pandemic, keeping everyone safe, getting people back to work. I think definitely the Black Lives Matter movement is very important. Those are just the main things going on in the world right now that I know about, but I think those are really important topics.
I turned 18 in September, and then I started school a little bit later. I started in the winter instead of the fall. So you graduated when you were 17 too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always been on the younger side.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I don't know how that. Where are you from?
From Delaware.
How guys do you think you've slept with?
Too many.
How many?
Way too many to count.
Dozens?
Way more than that.
Over 200?
Probably.
I went down to the Black Lives Matter protest about a couple of months ago in DC, and I asked them the question, is it worse to be a racist or a pedophile? And you know what they told me? 70% said it's better to be a pedophile than a racist. Can you believe that?
A pedophile? Seriously?
Pedophile? Seriously?